So, Timmy didn't feel like dropping the new Macs this week, which is a shame because I'm crazy busy next week, so I apologize in advance if I'm not able to cover all of the M4 Mac launches that are supposedly coming out. Very reputable leaker Mark Gurman has given us the very precise date and time to expect the launch, which is precisely very soon. Apparently they have some kind of media event going on the 30th, so it has to happen before then. Could be Monday, could be Tuesday, but because there's supposed to be the big 18.1 Apple Intelligence launch on Monday, it will probably be Tuesday, in which case I will not be filming here if I film and get anything up at all. But I figured since a lot of the rumors ended up being correct this year, we could talk about what Apple is going to release next week, and this will be somewhat of our final rumor recap video today, and it could end up being very dated very quickly because Apple is not known for doing site refreshes on Thursdays or Fridays, so that's why I don't think it's gonna happen for the rest of this week, but I've been wrong before. Let's begin. So the first indication that we're not getting a scary fast, pre-recorded Apple event this year is that they've already dropped and bragged all about the iPad Mini 7 with its A17 chip, and sadly, it sounds like Ross Young is telling us that they're pushing back the refresh of the iPad 11th generation, which for a long time, all the reports were saying the iPad 11th gen was going to get refreshed at the end of this year. It's still got some of the oldest silicon on the website, like we've got iPhones with A18 chips, and Apple is still selling at the end of 2024 and likely into 2025 an iPad with an A14 chip. Okay, that's pretty far back. Granted, it is a fairly affordable iPad. It's like $300, especially for education reasons, but still, it feels quite a bit dated, but it is cheap, and my guess is Apple is holding off on refreshing it because they want to make sure when they do put new silicon inside it, it's capable of running Apple Intelligence features, because that's all Apple cares about now, is making sure that if a new Apple product comes out, it better have AI, and the truth is the budget iPad is probably just not ready yet for an A17 Pro chip. They were probably going to do like a A16 chip upgrade, but then it still wouldn't have Apple Intelligence, and then of course all those AI investors would be like, what's the point of this product? If I can't power Cowboy Frog locally on device, then this product doesn't deserve to exist. So we're going to have to wait on the iPad 11 a little bit longer, but there's three main new Macs that are supposed to launch around the same time next week. Number one, the 24-inch iMac, which yes, is rumored to still look ugly. No changes with the design. It'll probably look identical to the last two 24-inch iMacs. It'll just ever so happen to have an M4 chip on the inside, which will be faster, have more neural cores, and be better at Cowboy Frog and everything. Great. But the more interesting thing about the iMac refresh is actually not the iMac. It's more so exciting that Apple is rumored to finally update the Magic Keyboard, the Magic Trackpad, and the Magic Mouse to be EU approved with USB-C. This has taken far too long. I can't believe we've had two generations of iPhones launch with USB-C, and yet Apple is still, at the end of 2024, shipping Lightning Magic Mouse and Lightning Magic Keyboard in with the 24-inch iMac. This is ridiculous. This makes no sense, and it's long overdue, and there's been references to it within iOS 18 code now, so we're pretty confident that that's finally going to be launching next week, but also no rumored redesigns. So unfortunately, if you hated the charging method of the existing Magic Mouse, well, you're gonna hate the charging method of the new Magic Mouse, but at least it will be with Type-C instead of Lightning. I still consider that an improvement. That's still worthy upgrade to me, but yeah, same colors as before, just USB-C with the accessories and an M4 chip in the iMac, but same display, same ports, no other changes there. But where there's slightly more changes is, of course, the M4 MacBook Pro lineup, which is supposed to be refreshed next week as well. Now, stop me if you've seen this, but apparently the biggest change is that the entry-level cheapest MacBook Pro is finally going to be getting a third USB-C port on the right side, just like its more expensive bigger brothers, even though it has the base M4 chip on the inside, which of course will be faster and a notable improvement over the M3 chip. But yeah, still mini LED across the board, same speakers, same display sizes, same webcams, no real other changes outside of replace the M3 chip across the board with the M4 chip across the board, which does mean that around this time next week, we may be talking about Apple's theoretical M4 Max chip, which will basically basically be like the fastest silicon in a laptop ever. Will it be that noticeably better because the M3 Max is already insanely fast? We'll see. We'll have to do some more Geekbench tests. But yeah, Space Black is also supposed to come to the cheaper MacBook Pro as well. But the only thing that really hasn't leaked surrounding the M4 MacBook Pro is the price point. That's what I think a lot of people are concerned about. Like, the entry model is supposedly making the jump up to 16 gigs of memory by default, finally. That's about time, especially for a Pro laptop at the end of 2024, but we don't know if Apple's going to compensate for those higher specs, you know, with the more CPU cores, more GPU cores, with an $1,800 starting price, or will they leave it the same at $1,600? Hopefully it's like the iPhone lineup and the iPad mini, where they just double up on the memory or the storage and leave the prices the same, please. That would be best case scenario. But I saved the best for last. By far the most exciting thing coming out next week to me is not the new MacBook Pros, not the new iMac, more so the actually redesigned M4 Mac Mini, which hasn't leaked online yet. We haven't really seen anybody say what exactly it's going to look like. I mean, it's a Mac Mini. How different can it look? But my hope is that it's very similar to the form factor of the Apple TV, so small that you could easily mount it on the back of any monitor and basically turn it into that beautiful iMac that I've always wanted but never got because of the stupid chin. But the I/O is supposed to be much better this year with the Mac Mini as well. Similar to its big brother, the Mac Studio, the M4 Mac Mini is supposed to have two USB-C ports on the front. Oh my god, Steve Jobs rolling in his grave. Like, frontal I/O on a Mac. Super helpful, super useful, but Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs always hated having ports on the front of their machines. But now that the Mac Studio has it, it would make a lot of sense for the Mac Mini to have it as well. But the reports are saying like 5 USB-C ports in total, so probably 2 on the front, 3 on the back. Likely the death, though, of USB-A ports on the Mac Mini, which I'm okay with. The USB-A port is horribly designed, should have never existed. I hate the fact that it's not reversible, but it's symmetrical. Has wasted collectively like probably tens of thousands of man hours simply from people trying to figure out which way to plug it in. Terrible design. We need to get on from it. I'm glad they didn't bring it back on the MacBook Pros when they were bringing back legacy ports. Makes sense for the Mac Studio to have it as more of like a pro feature, more likely to need all these kinds of accessories and cables, but Mac Mini is just supposed to be simple, cheap, effective, and this one sounds like all of that. Like, it just gets the job done. Type-C everywhere so that you can plug in your iPhones or your USB-C accessories with the included cable that your iPhone already came with and that probably every other accessory in your life already came with. And of course with a nice big performance bump because the Mac Mini never got the M3 chip in the first place. Hasn't been much talk about if there will be a price hike alongside it, but I'm guessing if the M4 chip is supposed to be, you know, more powerful and have higher overall specs for better Apple Intelligence features and all that, the base M4 Mac Mini will probably have 512 gigs of storage and 16 gigs of RAM. So that's why I'm a little skeptical of them keeping it at the $599 starting price, but if it is smaller, you know, a lot of the time people expect that if it's a smaller device, it needs to be cheaper. So here's hoping they find a way to reduce the overall cost, but that is the only Mac that's coming out next week that I'm actually kind of curious and interested about trying. Not really interested in a new MacBook Pro. My current MacBook Pro is still great. I have zero complaints when it comes to the performance of my M1 Max chip, even though it's coming up on 3 years old now. It's just not a bottleneck in my content creation at all. And the 24-inch iMac just feels like a, oh yeah, I guess we gotta update that. Doesn't feel like Apple's passionate about the iMac. I still really wish they would spend more time on a beautifully revamped like iMac Pro with a bigger screen and a higher refresh rate and more dynamic range, but we all gotta wait because Cowboy Frog is the main star of the show today. So that should be kind of the last hardware launch from Apple this year. Very, very likely to be next week or maybe even tomorrow. We'll see. But what are you guys most excited for? What are you most skeptical of? Feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you on the next one.